There are people out there who think that their identity doesn't necessarily impact their art, or they don't want it to. And I just think that that is a luxury of having an identity that people just read as average. If you fall outside of that, then everybody is constantly assigning your identity to your art.
I never worry. I know you wouldn't lie to me.
Other people whose identity also affects their art doesn't get asked that question. So like, I would love to see people being asked, like, how does profiting from the patriarchy affect your songwriting? Like, that would be such a great question to ask a dude making music. Like, how does being a man affect your songwriting? Because it does, like, it must. Everybody's identity plays a role in their art all the time. And I think everybody should be asked that question. I do think it impacts my work, and so I would like to talk about it. But I know people who don't feel that way, who then have to talk about their identities even when they're not comfortable with it, or if they don't think it matters. And I think it should be a choice. I'm Ellen, my band is Ellen Siberian Tiger, and we're recording our song Everybody Always for this episode of Shaking Through. My band for this session was Collin Dennen playing bass, Adam Shumski is our drummer, and Joel Gleiser on keys and synth. Adam's only been in the band for a year and Joel's been in the band for a few months. When I started using the Ellen Siberian Tiger name, I was 15. So this iteration of the band, it still feels brand new to me.
Ellen Siberian Tiger is a band of individuals that sort of all grew up in central Pennsylvania. Since then, they've all moved here to Philadelphia, which always makes me very happy. This iteration of the band seems like Ellen's attempt at conscientiously directing and focusing an ideal.
We've done everything, like from being solo to duo to like 8 people. It's just been so many things. In the past like year or two of being in Philly, I've really tried to hone in on what it would sound like if it was just me being like much more of a creative director. That's something that I'm still getting used to. I think the music that we made collaboratively with the old lineups is like amazing and I'm really proud of it, but I think I had like a lot of internalized feelings of like misogyny for sure. I think I felt like there's the singer-songwriter and then there's like the rock band, and the rock band is cool and like masculine, and the singer-songwriter is like less cool and she's sensitive. And so that made me make a lot of choices with the band where I like relinquished a lot of like creative control, and I think I'm finally feeling like, well, no. I want to know and be in control of exactly what's happening. I don't like sit there and literally write the bass parts for people. Like I don't aspire to that either, to like sit down and write every single part. Like it's a balance. They are the people who are bringing their creative ideas to the table, but I have a stronger hand in shaping what those ideas are.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I just got this guitar set up. It's my first time playing it. So
Oh, nice.
It feels like new.
Nice. All right, let's run through it, and we'll listen from in here.
I've been in different recording sessions before, but I still don't feel like strong opinions on how I'd like to record. So I was definitely happy that the first thing we were doing was just playing the song.
My mother would hate this. Maybe I should hate it too.
They came in with this song very well rehearsed and very well laid out. It flowed out of them with elegance and ease and beauty. But you're only going to be aware of how beautiful this song is if you can contextualize it against a certain amount of ugliness too. So we put a little bit of the brakes on the rapid progress that they came in so well rehearsed on by like just injecting little points of ugliness. Like I can almost hear for those like jinks, a stack of cymbals.
Oh, okay.
Instead of it being these beautiful plush cymbals that you have, there's a potential to like sort of like tighten up and small things up.
Okay.
So that when you guys get to the like rolling, slamming part and you're playing more full.
It's like expansive.
Yeah, it sounds expansive.
I got you.
You know? I don't know. I mean, we'd have to construct a stack of cymbals.
Figure it out.
Yeah, just something a little more trashy kind of.
Yeah, like it would. So we put that stack of cymbals in just to sort of like strike a little balance between free-flowing beauty and abrupt starkness.
Sounds cool.
And then even did a little bit to sort of contextualize, well, when it made sense to just hit the like snare and the stack, as opposed to when it made sense to.
Crash there.
I mean, yeah, like you can go back and forth between when it's totally cut off and when it has a, what would you call that? Like a resolve.
Crash.
Right.
Maybe nothing there.
That time I think no, but the time before I thought yes.
Crash there.
One ends in tension, one ends in release. That stack of cymbals helps us achieve something a little bit ugly in the song. And I think that's where it kind of started striking me that we could stack other things. You know, we could stack vocals, we could stack guitars, we could stack drums.
We ended up tracking basics to our 16-track tape machine, which is an Ampex MM1200. Anytime you record drums to tape, I swear it's so much easier. The tape machine itself imparts like a pretty significant character, and then hitting tape it does this beautiful like transient softening and has its own EQ curve. And when you like hear it back off tape, you're like, oh, I'm so much further along. It's just like so nice. Our friend Christopher Petro was nice enough to lend us these awesome preamps, the Universal Audio 810s. It's cool to hear like the same character applied to a lot of the different elements of the drum set. In a way, it's a little more like a console workflow where everything is kind of going through the same preamp. Doing that coupled with like recording tape, I feel like the drums were pretty far along by the time we were done tracking basics. For this episode, we're super lucky that our friend Matt Manhire, who operates a boutique amp company in Philadelphia called Root Beer Audio, gave us this like beautiful specimen, the Philly 20 watt. Anything you do with it, it just sounds beautiful. It has this like really lush reverb that can like interestingly like duck as you play harder. We kind of dialed the tone in super quickly and then put a Rode NTR in front of it into an API 312. I did a little bit of EQing with the Uri 530, and that went into the Warm Audio 76.
Sounds really good. Kind of locks up like no sweat.
Okay, I might want to do it again. I felt like there was one or two spots where it was not like.
Yeah. From the top or that ends?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, it is important that since I'm on stage, I think about what I say and how it does affect people. One of the things I've been focusing on lately is, can I make a live show that allows people to feel justified in being angry? Like, yeah, like I should be mad about it, but then not feel defeated or alone. Can you look at who's performing or who's with you also in the audience and feel that anger, but feel like you could get it out and then be productive with it instead of destructive with it internally? So that's something that I really care about, especially writing from like a queer perspective. Learning how to be angry and feel valid in being angry can be really hard. It's been hard for me dealing with those emotions. And I think specifically for people who identify as women or who are read as women, being angry is something that's really tricky, just because I think it's so discouraged. My goal around that is to make those things healthy, productive, rather than destructive. Because I think anger is a healthy emotion. I think we should be angry. I think there's a lot to be angry about. But I think it's what we do with that anger that matters.
Maybe let it ring out just to get the full reverb eventually.
I don't mind doing it again. It's such a short song.
That was pretty good. Pretty great, honestly.
Any notes or anything?
Not really. We were more like kind of just amazed,
Yeah.
honestly. It's nice and tight and in the pocket with it, so it's good.
Great.
So why don't you come in and we'll comp your guitar and then they'll set up for vocal.
Gotcha.
Sometimes we'll have a singer sing as soon as there's just barely enough there to sing to. And the great thing about that is it lets us build the rest of the song around the feature element.
My mother would hate this. Maybe
You want to capture somebody in their moment of sublimeness. And that's not something that anybody just is. Yeah, it sounds like your voice could still open up a little more, obviously. You have to help them find that place. But you also just have to be patient. Warming up will just be taking this slowly. You don't really need to expect to nail this on the next take. I tried to get across the point that, man, we can sing forever. You know, we took 2 hours to get the basic track.
Yeah.
We could very easily take the same amount on vocals. We should.
I appreciated being able to do it not at the very last thing where we don't have that much time. I didn't feel like rushed or anything. I felt like I could do it until I felt like it was good.
I wouldn't change to better suit your needs. Who'd be lying then?
From a musical perspective, I like things to be a little quirky or different. How I make those choices is all about the words I'm saying. Does the sentence need a lot of space for someone to think about it? Is there like a lot of emotion behind? Like if there's like a lot of emotions, then maybe we'll give more time for it to sink in.
My mother would hate this. Maybe I should hate it too.
The quality of a word or the quality of a phrase may afford it an extra beat of rhythm. I love that. It's actually so poetic.
She already doesn't like you.
So when I started dating girls, that became like comfortable. And then I started dating a guy again. And then my mom, she was like, oh, like I thought you were done with that. And it was just kind of funny. Like we were just joking between the two of us. And so part of it's just kind of like a joke that I thought was a captivating first line. And then part of it is like a struggle with identity.
I never worry. I know you wouldn't lie to me.
If I try to engage in a romantic relationship in a way that looks different from how we're like sold what that should look like, there is this battle. Like, should I trust it if I think it's right, but other people don't? Or the reverse, like where do those feelings come from? Are they genuine or are they rooted in a really unhealthy version of romantic love that is sold?
Everybody always lies, don't they? Is it just me they're lying to?
So for me, that song is like kind of that struggle. Self-doubt mixed in with being self-assured, which is something I personally feel a lot. I feel like I project and in some ways really am a really self-assured person, but I also have all these doubts that feel contrary to the identity that I'm proud of, and those things all clash.
Turn myself to a version of you.
In this song, it's like what I'm really worried about is like, is this good for me? And that's like what I'm really saying. If I say like, would my mom like it? What I'm asking is like, is this the right decision for me? In some ways, there's a really clear narrative for women in music already, but that can get tricky when you want to bring nuance into a discussion of identity.
My mother would hate this, but I love you.
Like, being queer, I still want to write love songs sometimes for men, but then I don't want it to like contribute to a silencing of love songs between people of the same gender. I want to be able to talk about my experience being raised a woman, but I don't want to silence voices of trans and non-binary people. I want to be able to identify in that way, but I don't want to section off a part of my identity that's essential or like contribute to this climate that says that being female or feminine is bad. I could be distancing myself from something and damaging it. And I don't ever want to do that because I'm really proud of my experiences. So it's especially hard to navigate that. You know, my mom, I think she did a great job of teaching me you can be all those things. You don't have to be like a guy to be taken seriously, and you don't have to be strong female lead. You can just be. At a certain point, it's like I can just sing about love and worrying that my mom won't approve of something. You know what I mean? Like I can just have those feelings too, and I think that's important.
It'll definitely be interesting with the synth on it.
Yeah.
Because I definitely don't want it to go too like cheesy solo-y. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely want it to keep its like.
Yeah.
I think the synth will make that happen.
It would be cheesy, sort of metally, if there was just a single one, but that it's quadrupled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or maybe that we even get one more layer. Just do it real fast.
I could also try fuzz instead of distortion.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, instead of the tube screamers, what you're saying.
Right. But I don't know if that's necessary.
Maybe we do that in the Supro.
Yeah.
In the Supro,
Yeah.
we try the fuzz.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. When you take something that's simple and elegant and beautiful, and you stack multiple copies of it on top of itself, the end result is kind of deranged. That's what we were going for.
So for the lead guitars, we ended up having Ellen use the JCM 800. Super gained up as the amp would go, kind of just for the sustain that brings. And then we did another 2 passes through the Supro.
An amp that's this big, tasked with like that much sound and volume, is just like doing everything it can not to like bust apart at the seams. Now there's like all the unique individual elements of those 2 approaches stacked right on top of each other.
For both of those, we used the Coles into an AML Easy 1073, and that went into the Warm Audio 76.
So that main riff in the song, they had the thought to have the guitar and the keyboard play it, which gives it like a rubbing when it comes to the timing and the pitch and all these like weird little elements.
That was awesome.
Do you do that hook on the end too?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, just right at the end.
For all of Joel's synth parts, it was his Moog Little Fatty going into a AML Easy 1073 into a distressor.
Joel's parts sort of peek in and out of like the human voice. There's a lot of mimicking of vocal delivery, of vocal cadence.
As soon as you notice that someone's doing something like pretty difficult, but they're completely capable of doing so, you kind of are like, how far can I push this? He was like controlling the parameters, fully using his hands, like thumb and pinky, to do a key and a knob. And Ellen ended up having tons of feedback for Joel, which he like would internalize and do, and it just was like a process of like getting it to the exact thing.
Ellen's Siberian Tiger reaffirms my belief that, like all art, quality music is only made by conscientious, introspective, real thinking humans. People who've had experiences, and this is part how they process them and share them with the world.
I wouldn't change to better suit your needs. Who'd be lying then?
I'm super impressed by Ellen because there's so much of a premium placed on what is true, what is honest, what is real. And the best art in songwriting and the best art in music is always a verifiable attempt to speak truth out loud.
I feel like what I'm doing is important because I know that there are so many people who identify like I do who don't feel like they can express certain things. I make music and I can lean into more negative emotions. So for me, it gives me a lot of purpose, and it's the reason why I think music is what I settled on doing. for me, identity does play into music, and like the political climate we're in does play into everything that I do. And I think it's important to care. You should think about what you say and what you do, how you present yourself into a space, how you affect the space that you're in. I try to say things in a way that's intentional but authentic. I want to be as honest as possible with people. I want to invite the audience to feel something. So I try to bring that into the performance, a gratitude for the fact that we're all in this space. I think that's really important.
Weathervane's Shaking Through series exists to support self-expression through the creative process of making and recording music. To download the multi-tracks recorded for this or any episode of Shaking Through, or to learn about Weathervane Music, the nonprofit that produces this series, you can follow the links on the screen or go to weathervanemusic.org.